Good morning. Good morning. I am so sorry. I'm sitting here just talking, y'all, and I'm 2 minutes in, and I've had a whole spiel, and I had myself on mute. That is so. Oh my goodness. Let me start over. Good morning, divas, and welcome to Spilling the Tea Business Edition. I am your host and your good sis, Pink Diva. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday morning live. As you're pulling your seat up to the table, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to drop down and leave a comment or ask questions on the topic. Turn your bell notifications on so that you'll be notified each and every time I drop a new topic. And as you know, our mission is to create a safe space for women to gather as a community, engage in healthy dialogue regarding real life issues that we as women deal with on a daily basis, but most importantly, to foster the true meaning of sisterhood. And if you are here, that means you are subscribed and representing the Diva Tribe. And we're not just any diva. We are divine. We are inspiring. We are valiant. And we are admirable. Welcome to the table, divas. Oh my goodness, I did a whole spiel and I had myself on mute. But hello and happy Friday to each of you that have joined me this morning. I really do appreciate you for being here for another early morning live. I'm not going to hold you long. You know, I have my timer running. Excuse me. So I'm only going to take up an hour of your time because it is Friday and it's a beautiful Friday here where I am. The sun is shining and it's just amazing. I have my windows open. I love the sunshine. So I'm going to go ahead and get started so that I'll have some time to try and answer questions if you have any after we're done. So hello again to everyone as you come in or as you are listening in. And even if you are listening in, if you could please hit the like button for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it. So we are talking today. We are spilling the tea on contracts and terms of agreement. We are talking about contracts today. And those of you who are in business, those of you who are thinking about going into business, you will know and you understand that contracts and having terms of agreement set for your business is absolutely essential for your business. Hey, Cricket. Thanks for joining, sis. I appreciate you for being here. And to every one of you as you come in, good morning, good morning. But we're going to talk about contracts, terms of agreement, and the importance of them. So, as I was stating, it's very vital and very important to have contracts and terms of agreement for your business. And these pieces of these documents, these important documents, are not only to protect your interests, but it also defines clear expectations with your clients and your partners. And it also helps to prevent disputes that may or may not come up later down the road. It also is served to protect your clients just in case for whatever reason you happen to fall short on your end of the bargain. Hey, Angela, thanks for coming in, Diva. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. These documents basically are set to help establish the framework for your business dealings, and it ensures that all parties involved, that means you, your clients, any party that is involved with your business. This basically helps everybody understand what our roles and responsibilities are and what our obligations are, which is very crucial to helping to maintain healthy relationships and to just avoid any potential legal issues within your business. And I cannot say enough just how important it is to make sure that you have contracts in place because you will definitely need them, and this is regardless of whether or not you are in a product based business or a service based business. No matter the transaction of the business that's taking place, please make sure that you are utilizing your contracts and or your terms of agreement at all times with everybody, even with family. You hear me? Even with family. Because basically, contracts clarify the expectations between yourself and whomever you're doing business with. And this also helps to manage potential risk that may come up. It also offers legal protection in case of disputes, properly crafted, which again, you need to make sure that your contracts are properly crafted, catered to the use of your business, because this can help prevent misunderstandings and it can also help avoid any type of litigation that may come up. And it also saves your business both time and money. So if you have an ironclad contract, It is so important to make sure that you have the appropriate legal jargon and legal terminology listed in your contract so that everybody is all on the same page. And in a moment, I'm going to get into explaining a little bit more in detail about why contracts and terms of agreement are important. But I'm going to share a story of a situation with me. I've always had contracts since the beginning, because that is just one thing I was taught in business class, was to just make sure you always have a contract. And it does not matter what service or product that you are providing, and it does not matter with who. You need to also always make sure that you have a contract, and you can make sure that your client is an educational moment between you and your client. You can help them understand why I have a contract, because there are a lot of people who do not believe that they should receive contracts. I've had clients all the time ask, like, well, why do I need a contract? But that also that's the opportunity for me to actually educate my client and say, hey, this contract is not just to protect me, it's also to protect you, because for whatever reason, I may or may not um, uphold my end of the bargain. But this contract also protects you to make sure whatever service you are um, retaining me for, that I'm actually showing up and doing what I'm supposed to do on my end of the bargain. I remember having, and this is why contracts are so important. And a lot of times, clients won't even read the contract, but I'll tell people all the time, make sure before you sign on this dotted line that you are reading this contract. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out. I can answer any questions that you may have. And my mindset when it came to me putting my contract together for my business, and I have several different contracts that I can use for any piece of my business, because I do have like so many different moving pieces to my business, and so many different services that I provide under my business umbrella. So I have a lot of contracts that are catered to each um, part of my business, and all of them are interchangeable. So anytime I need to update something, and those of you that have been listening in, you know that I do event design and decor and all of that kind of stuff. But I also um, pretty much after every event, I'm having to add another clause to my contract, and it's so important because a lot of times we may miss something and things come up. Like sometimes random things may come up, and you need to add to your contract. And sometimes, depending on the service that you are providing, you may not need a certain clause that's in the contract. So you can remove that clause before you send it to that particular client. So you can have contracts that are interchangeable depending on what service you're providing for this particular customer. But I remember when I was first starting, I had a young lady that was ordering something for me. She was ordering like one of my custom um, dessert packages that I had. And she reached out. And when I say at the beginning, she was one of the most the easiest client that I had, and this was early on. This was early on in my business. And she reached out to me, tell me what she wanted. And I'm going over all of the details, you answering all of the questions that she had in regards to what she wanted to order. She was like, okay, that's fine. I'm ready to pay. I said, okay, I'm going to send the contract over to you, and I'll also send the invoice over to you. And if you have any questions, we had a consultation, we went over all of this, and she was just ordering desserts. But I wanted her to make sure that she understood the contracts and the terms of the agreement that was in there, just helping to educate her on what was in the contract. And she was absolutely fine. She said, oh, no, that's okay. I'm ready to pay. And we love customers who are ready to pay right away. And she was ready to pay. Excuse me. So she was ready to pay. She paid and everything. We got her on the calendar. So the week of her event, it was the week of her event was on that following Friday, and it was a Monday. It was a Monday. She was reaching out to me, and she was like, you know what? I've been thinking about it. And mind you, this was after she had read and signed the contract and had paid for the products that she was getting. And, she just started messaging me on my business phone, and she just started messaging me. She's like, you know what? She was like, the more I think about it with what I ordered, I feel like I'm not getting the best bang for my buck. She was like, she's like, because I checked around with a couple other people and I could have gotten that for cheaper. And, and I'm sitting here looking at the message like, lady, you've already signed a whole contract. You've already paid. We've already discussed what it was that you were wanting. And, so I'm responding, and you have to try to be as professional as possible. I'm responding to her. I say, you know what? I say, I'm aware that you possibly could have found someone else to do it cheaper. I say, however, you've already signed your contract, you've already paid for the service. I say, but just an FYI, anytime that you are looking to book a service with anybody, be it me or anybody, always make sure that you've done your research first. Always make sure that you've checked around to see who can give you the best bang for your buck before you just, pay and before you sign a contract. I say, because now we're in a legally binding agreement. You've already signed the contract. I've already started working on your order and everything. And she was like, yeah, but I just feel like you charge me too much because I could just go to Walmart and get the ingredients and I can do it myself. This is her. This again, she's a whole client that has already paid already. And I say, yes, you could. I say, because keep in mind the services that you are retaining is a luxury. It's not a necessity. So you very well could have done it yourself, but you have to keep in mind you're paying for a designer to create something for you. So you're paying for more than just you going to Walmart and getting the ingredients. You're paying for my expertise. That's what you're paying for. I say, but again, I say, please revert back to the contract that you've already signed. And she started to get upset because she did not like the fact that I was sending her back to the contract and the agreement that was in place. She was totally overlooking the contract, and she responded. She was like, why do you keep telling me to go back and look at the contract? She was like, I'm a customer telling you that I am not pleased with the service. And I'm like, well, first of all, you haven't even received the order to complain about. You haven't even received it. So, I can't, she was like, and customers are always right. And this is what I tell people, all not in my business. Customers are not always right. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to be careful because people do come in with that mindset. I'm like, this ain't Burger King. You can't just get it your way over here. I am very professional. If you pay me for something, I'm going to provide good quality work. I do that all the time. But again, I do not allow people to tell me how to run my business. I do not go back and forth with people because, again, the product and service that I provide is a luxury. It is not a necessity. You have the option to order or not. And I appreciate all of my customers. I have some amazing customers and clients that some of them have been long term. I've been doing their parties and events for many, many years, and I'm very appreciative, but I do not allow people to tell me how to run my business, which is why I have everything in order. And for people like this individual is the reason why contracts are very, very important. And so we ended up moving on from that day. That discussion happened, I want to say, on a Monday. Then it was like, I want to say on a Wednesday, I attended a concert. Tiffany Haddish was in town at a concert. I'm in the concert, and you can't have, she did a comedy show. And during that time frame, you can't have any phones or any devices out for recording purposes. And my phone was just going off like back to back to back. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because my family knew I was at the concert, and I'm trying to figure out why my phone is going off. So during the intermission time, I actually got up to go get a soda or something. Hey, Reen, thanks for joining, sis. I ended up going to get a soda. I said, let me check these messages. Girl, it was that customer. She going back and forth and back and forth because I had finished her cake before I left, and I sent her a picture. I always do that. Once I do, the order, I'll send them a picture and let them know, like, hey, working on your order. It'll be due and ready for your pickup on the date that you specified already. She's going back and forth with me, telling me she don't like the cake. And when I say we have discussed this cake, I sent her pictures of this cake, and everything. So she already knew what to expect when it came to this cake. And she was going back and forth and back and forth and saying how much she didn't like the cake. And at this point, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because she's disrespecting me. She's going back and forth. She was like, that's what happens with y'all black businesses and this, and this. And at this point, because again, keep in mind, it was after business hours. This was on a Wednesday, and at this time it's probably like 9:30 p.m. And I said, oh, I got something for her. When I get in this car, we're gonna have a conversation. And I ended up having to call her. I say, you know what? I say, I'm taking off the business hat. I'm taking off the business hat because it is after hours and you're calling my personal phone, not my business phone. I said, but what you would not do is call me and be disrespectful to me talking about something that we clearly went over. You clearly signed a contract. And now, after the fact, I say, going forward, I say, for one, you don't ever have to worry about ordering anything from me ever again. And that's another thing that you need to understand. Every customer won't be your customer, and all money is not good money. Sometimes it just seems like, oh, you know what, I'm not getting any customers, or, business is slow and you just want to take whatever comes whenever it comes. And, a lot of times you have to say no. And now, because of her, I can basically feel the vibe between my customers when they come and they want something. Because when they immediately come to me and looking for discounts off the bat, I know that's not my customer. And I don't waste time with them. I just tell them I won't be able to provide service. So I know when to take a customer or when to not take a customer. And then you have to know and understand when it's a good move for you to do that, because every customer is not your customer and every money is not good money. Sometimes you have to walk away and let it go, regardless of how slow you feel like business has been. Some customers are not worth the headache, right, Angela? She just wanted to find some fault with you, and what a shame. It was a shame, to the point to where this lady, and mind you, I had never gotten anything negative said or anything about my business, because I pride myself in great customer service. But again, great customer service does not mean you get to tell me how to run my business and how I should be doing what I'm doing, especially when I know I went over everything with her. There was no room for question. I answered every question. I sent her pictures and say, this is what it'll look like, and all of this kind of stuff, down to the fondant and the buttercream on the cake. That's how detailed I was with this lady. But she just wanted something for nothing, because she kept saying, well, I just feel like since I'm not satisfied, you can throw in an extra dozen of this, and this. Well, you don't get to tell me what I can throw in extra. I'm giving you what you paid for, and this is what you paid for. I say, if you go back to the contract, this is what you asked for. This is what you're getting. I explained to you in the beginning what everything cost. You agreed because you paid right away. When I say it was no question about how much it was, she paid right away. So I was really confused about where she was going, but I told her, I said, but what you will not do is call my phone being disrespectful to me or my business. And you're calling and texting me back to back to back at 9:30, 9:45 p.m. at night, which is way after business hours. So I say, so I'm taking off this business hat and I'm talking to you woman to woman. You won't do that. But it was so much so to the lady had went to Facebook and she was posting a picture of a cake saying, this is what I asked for and this is what I got. And girl, I had no idea, but something just told me to go to her page, which this incident caused me to, going forward, I bet everybody before I even take their business, because I don't do that stuff. I just don't move like that when it comes to business. And I went to her Facebook page and I saw that she was basically saying that she got something that she didn't pay for. I gave her something that she didn't want or what have you. And I kindly dropped down under her post and I posted pictures. I posted a copy of that contract and I told her, I say, I'm not aware of, I say, I'm not understanding where the miscommunication is coming from. But you and I clearly had conversation on what you wanted. I told you that you were not getting a fondant cake. You were getting a buttercream cake for this price and just all of that. And then she ended up, I say, so it's in your best interest to remove this post because I do have this signed contract. And then she ended up taking the post down. She ended up texting me saying, I apologize. You're right. I apologize. I'm coming at you the wrong way. But in the whole scheme of things, I had already made up my mind. Like, girl, when you get this order, you can never order anything else from me ever again, because take you and your little $100. That's basically how I felt. You and your little funky $100, because I don't do this. And so the day that she was picking up, she was supposed to, I worked the 9 to 5 at the time, and I was going to leave her stuff at the security desk. And I told her, I say, your items will be at the security desk. Security is aware that you will be picking up at such and such time. And so I let security know that a young lady was coming to pick it up. So she, again, I think it was something wrong with her, because she would go into apologizing. Then the next day she texting again. Well, I still think because I'm the customer, you should listen to what I'm saying. And I said, well, I don't run my business based off what customers are saying. I do listen when you're providing feedback, especially if it's something that you're saying I did wrong. But at this time, she hadn't even received the order, and she got exactly what she paid for. And I don't just do people wrong. I believe in, you get back what you put out. So I would never try to take advantage of anybody in my business. And I make sure that I definitely read over these contracts and make sure they understand. And when they say they understand, I say, okay, now you sign on the dotted line. They get a copy, I get a copy. And for this reason, so the day that it was time for her to actually pick up her order, she was texting me that Thursday night, because she was picking up that Friday morning. And she was like, just leave my stuff at the security desk. I don't even want to see you. And I'm just laughing and going, I was like, I'm not about to go back and forth with this lady. So I left it at the security desk. And when I knew it was time for her to come pick her stuff up, I was standing up on I think it was the third floor. I could look down and see security when she came. Everything, I even had security to check the box. I opened everything. I say, everything's in place, right? I even took pictures of it, because I knew everything was in place. So I saw her when she came to the security desk to pick up her box of items. And I saw her when she looked in it, and she was looking around because she was trying to see if I was there, because she was texting me. She was like, I would love to see you. I would love to say hi, if you could come down. I'm like, girl, if you don't get this stuff in, get away from me, because you don't ever have to worry about ordering anything else. She looked in the box. She took the box from security. Security was standing right there. She left. As soon as she got in her car, 5 minutes later, she texted me saying that her cake was leaning. Her cake had leaned and it had messed up. Now, if the cake had leaned and messed up when you were at security desk, why would you walk out with the cake that you're saying was damaged? What it was is she probably put that cake in the car in a certain way that caused it to slip over, and it had leaned by the time she got home. I don't know how she was driving, but keep in mind, this is where I say terms of agreement. All of this stuff comes into place. When you're ordering a cake from me, I put cake care instructions in there. I tell you how to cut the cake. I tell you how to drive with the cake to put it on a flat surface. Do not sit it on a seat. Make sure you drive carefully. Keep your air on so it won't cause the buttercream or the chocolate to melt. Like, all of those details are there for that reason. So this again is why I say, and I blocked her after that. After that lady picked that cake up and she walked out with it, I blocked her. It was done. Did not have another did not get any other orders from her ever again after that point. And this also made me go back to my contract to add other clauses into my contract. So it's situations like this that will cause you to go back and add other clauses to your contract for reasons like this. And this is why, because I kept reverting her back to the contract. I said, please go take a look at the contract that you signed. We had a signed agreement. This is what you agreed upon. And she was like, why do you keep telling me to go back to the contract? I'm telling you as a customer that I'm not satisfied. So I just send her back to the contract. So that's why when I say contracts are important, even when it comes to family. Even if a family member order a cake, you get the same cake care instructions and everything that anybody else would do. I don't care who it is. Basically, you get it. This is how I run my business. That's why having standard operating procedures in your business is a must. And once you get in the habit of doing it for everybody, it'll just come as a natural, and you won't forget to do it because this is a part of your business process. This is how you run your business. These are the documents that you provide. If I'm doing a service for anybody, and I don't do freebies, I do freebies when I want to, not when they're asked. I don't do people coming to me and wanting to try to nickel and dime me or feel like off the top they deserve to get something for free. No, you're going to sign this contract. We're going to talk about my operating procedures. And this is, these are the hours of operation. This is when you can contact me. This is how you can contact me. Because a lot of times when people will know me personally, they'll just text me or call me on my personal phone, or message me or something and say, hey, I would like to place an order for something. And I send them right back to how they can order. Go to my website, fill out the form, or you can message me on my Facebook business page in the inbox so that I can have a paper trail. Don't just message me on my personal phone because it'll get lost in transit, because I get so many personal messages. I don't want you to send me anything business related to my personal phone. So you have to just have those boundaries set for your business, because otherwise people will feel like they can treat your business any kind of way. So to avoid that, just make sure that you do have your contracts and everything is in place. So now we're going to talk about get a little bit more into some detailed explanations about the contracts and the agreements and why they are important. Number one, it is for establishing clarity and understanding. Hey, Royale. Thanks for joining. She said, had to tumble and roll out the bushes. This woman was a mess. Sis, she was a whole mess. Do you hear me? She was literally one of those customers from hell, just going back and forth. And like I say, she paid. But again, it was a learning lesson for me as a business owner. It just proved to me that all money is not good money, and every customer will not be your customer. And I am not so eager to just take it just because a person wants to patronize with your business. I get a feel in the beginning. I ask questions in the beginning, and you can basically tell from the beginning. And when I say this, I'm saying it as truthful as I know how. You really can tell from the beginning if this person is going to be somebody that you need to do business with or not. And choose wisely, because all money ain't good money. I'll sit this one out. Go patronize with somebody else that's going to give you what you're looking for, because I know the quality of work and the great customer service that I provide, and I am not begging anybody to be my customer. I'm just not doing it. Absolutely. I am just not doing it. So, establishing clarity and understanding. So, contracts define what the obligations are. Contracts clearly define the rights and responsibilities of each party, and this prevents misunderstandings and disputes. What that means is, if I'm doing a full event, let's say I'm doing a event for someone, and I put in that contract that all items are a rental item on your behalf. These are my items. You are just renting them. And after your party, I am coming back to break down this event, and I am to take away everything that I provided as a rental to you. The only thing that you will keep is anything that I customize with your name on it. All of this stuff I put in the contract. Like, it's just it's just like A, B's, and C's. It's just so clear, and you have to make sure it's very clear and concise so that the customer can understand. And you would just be surprised at, why do I even need to list this on a contract? You would, and your mindset would be, well, people should already know this. Well, guess what? They don't already know it, and you basically need to explain it. The things that you would think are common sense is not so common these days. Contracts also set expectations. They outline the scope of the work, the deliverables, the timelines, the quality standards, and this is also ensuring all parties understand what is expected. So if I have a client tell me that I am booking you to provide a service for me on Friday, April the 11th, and I'm expecting you to be there at 2:00 p.m., I then know that I am obligated to be at this person's event at the time that they have contracted me to be there, and this is the scope of service that I am providing. I am reserving 10 tablecloths and 5 balloon centerpieces, or whatever the case may be. All of that is clearly outlined in the contract. So I, as the business owner, have already contracted, and this is why I say this also protects yourself and the client, because the client does not care that I am stuck in traffic and I'm running late. I can't make your event. I can't be there by 12 o'clock as contracted in the agreement, because I'm stuck in traffic. They don't care that I had to wait on my babysitter to show up. They don't care that I had a flat tire. All I know is this is the time frame that we were contracted to be at said facility, and the customer is expecting me to be there. The same way I'm expecting a business to provide a service for me and they are to be there at a set time, I'm expecting them to be there. I know my clients are expecting me to do the same. So it goes two ways. This work with vendors and everything. It helps to also facilitate communication. Contracts promote open and transparent communication by documenting the terms of the agreement, fostering smoother collaboration, and reducing the likelihood of miscommunication. This helps to where the customer cannot come back to you and say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Yes, you did, because had you read your contract that you signed and that we both went over, you would have seen all of this is communicated throughout the contract. So when I say your contract should be black and white, no gray areas, everything should be in that contract, and it is so clear that they cannot misunderstand anything. So that's another reason. It also it serves for legal enforceability and for protection. It binds our commitments. Contracts are legally enforceable. Keep that in mind. It is a legally enforceable document, meaning if one party fails to uphold their obligations, the other party can seek legal action. So if for whatever reason I have in my contract that if any of my items are damaged when I come to pick them up, you have to pay for the damage that you caused. And if they try to not pay me for the damage of my chairs or anything, I can take them to court and my contract will be legally binding. It will be legally binding. Excuse me. So they need to make sure that they know and understand what they are signing in both ways. If it's something that I am um, saying, committing myself to providing for, something that I'm committing myself to providing for a client and I don't follow through on my end, they can take me to court as well. It also protects us from liability. It helps protect our businesses from liabilities by including the provisions for compensation for harm or loss, warranties, and compliance that are relevant with the law. So all of this is included. I have insurance. I list my insurance carrier on my contracts. But being that the industry that I'm in, I have to have insurance for my business, because again, I say I do event decor and design. So anytime I'm going to a venue to set up for an event, I have to have insurance, because let's say, for instance, if a client reserves my company to go in and style their event, it could be at, let's say, the hotel in one of their conference rooms or their ballrooms. Um, let's say one of the clients or their guests happen to trip over one of my tablecloths because they're drunk, not paying attention, whatever the case may be. They will try to sue the venue. You think this is just a joke? Please don't. They will try to sue the venue for something that they did. So most venues that we have contracted services to go in and design, they require us to have insurance, our company to have insurance, or they will not allow your company to come in and provide any services without the insurance because of liabilities. So you definitely have to make sure that you have your contracts, because it also protects your company from liabilities. Um, Risk management. They are a way to help manage risk by outlining how potential problems or disagreements will be addressed. So anything in regards to risk should be in your contract. And the customer knows, you know, we both know if anything happens in regards to risk, these are the responsibilities of both parties. Excuse me. I don't know why I have just a tickle in my throat. It gets like this. It's allergies. It get like this every time in the springtime when the weather gets nice. But excuse me. So yeah, it helps to mitigate risk. Building it also helps to build trust and strong relationships between yourself and your client. Formalize the agreements. Contracts also formalize agreements, demonstrating the commitment and building trust between both parties. So basically, when I am presenting my contract to my client and we're going over the terms of the agreement, that helps them help them build trust, saying that, okay, this company is providing me with a written contract, meaning that they are going to uphold to their end of the bargain and they are expecting me to uphold to mine. It also prevents disputes, like I was talking about earlier, because when you have clearly defined terms and obligations in your contracts, it helps to prevent those misunderstandings or any potentially disputes that may come up to cause that could possibly cause damage to the relationship between yourself, the client, the vendor, or whomever you're providing the contract to. But it helps to prevent all of those disputes because we've already stated this information upfront in the contract. It also fosters professionalism. And this is another reason why it's really, really important to have one, because a well drafted contract demonstrates professionalism and commitment to business dealings, and it also enhances the overall business environment. It shows that this is a professional company because they have contracts. They're very well put together. I understand the contracts. The customer is upfront. The business is upfront about what they will be, the services that they will be providing, the scope of the service, and all of these things. So people really will look at your business, and I don't care if it's you are a home-based business. I don't care what kind of business that you are running. When you have like professional documents such as terms of agreement, um, contracts, like cake care cards, and any documents that you are putting into your packaging, and just having these documents up front, people really do view your business as a professional business versus a business that may not provide contracts or just come as you are. Because I know a lot of people who are in business and have been in business for a very long time, but they do not even have contracts. They don't. And then if I am, because I remember I was outsourcing something to a vendor for one of my events. I was renting something. I want to say some Shafari chairs or something. And I was like, well, okay, just send the contract over. I'll read the contract and then send it back. And she was like, oh, well, I don't have a contract. And I'm sitting there like, you are a whole rental company. How do you not have a contract? So again, there are people who operate in business and do not have contracts, but for me, a contract is a necessity, and it just exudes professionalism, but it also helps to protect me. There are various different types of contracts and agreements that you should have. And one of the other things that I want to say as well, in my business, one of the other services that I provide in the spring and summer months, I have a luxury picnic company that I do luxury picnics called Chicniks by KSTE. So we will do outdoor picnics. We have the low picnic tables and we dress the table really, really nice. And we can set it up for a picnic for two, or up to 12 people, because it's a very small luxury chicnic, very chic. So with these outdoor picnics, because of the area that I live in, the weather can go from being super sunny and 82 degrees when we first wake up, and then it could be a rainstorm or a snowstorm later in the evening. So because of that, I had to make sure I put an inclement weather clause in my contract, saying just in case that there is inclement weather, I will not be able to set up for your event, because I am not going in nobody's rainstorm outside and putting my inventory outside to cause it to get damaged. So I have to put that clause in there, and I have to go over that clause. So I always tell them up front when they're booking for that luxury picnic portion of my business, I have them always make sure you have a backup plan, because we don't know what the weather may be like leading up to your actual outdoor event. I hate events, by the way, because the wind is crazy, the weather is crazy, and our weather is so unpredictable. But I had to make sure I put that clause in there so that it can cover me. I don't want it to look like I just did not show up to provide this service that my customer booked me for, but because of the weather. And you would think you shouldn't have to have that in there because clearly they see that it's raining today, and this is the reason why I could not show up. But you definitely have to make sure it's in there because people will try to do chargebacks. Even when, oh, that's a different story, but people will literally out here get a full event and posting pictures up on social media about how much they enjoyed their event, but then they get to seeing that their money is funny after their event and they spend all of this money. These people will have the audacity to go do a chargeback on their credit card saying that they did not authorize that charge to get a full. So basically you're trying to get a full party that you posted and said that you enjoyed, but will go back to your credit card company and dispute the transaction. Trifling, but it does happen. So definitely this is why contracts are important. That hasn't happened to me yet, thank you Lord, but I'm not exempt from it happening. But a lot of the other event professionals that I have networked with, this has happened to several of them on many occasions where people will charge back um, cost on their credit card saying they didn't authorize the charge after the event. You know how it is when you spend more money than you expected to spend and now you want the money back, so they do things like that. Different types of contracts. Contracts can vary, can take on various forms, including things like purchase order, lease agreements, employment contract if your business actually have employees, service agreements, and memorandums of understanding. Understanding the difference between a contract and an agreement is very important because contracts are legally binding and agreements may not be legally binding. So make sure you understand the difference. The specific type of contract or agreement will definitely depend on the nature of the transaction that you're doing. So there may be a time or a transaction taking place between yourself and a vendor or customer, client, or whomever that may not need an actual contract. All it may need is like a terms of agreement or something of that nature. So you may not have to have a contract, but definitely have some sort of term of agreement based off the um, transaction that's taking place. The let's see, importance in everyday life. Let's talk about the importance of having contractual agreements in your everyday life, even outside of business. Contracts are vital in your everyday life, from simple agreements to complex legal documents. And let's say, for instance, you are borrowing money to a family member and you need to get them to sign a promise to pay, because for whatever reason sometimes our family feel like if you ask me to borrow money I shouldn't expect to get it back. But if you are expecting to get this money back when you are lending a family member, friend, or whomever money, because we fall out over money, have them sign a promise to pay. A promise to pay means that I, such and such, is borrowing $500 from this person on this day, and I promise to repay this dollar amount on such and such day. Then you can actually utilize this document and take them to court if they do not pay you back your money on said day. Because you know how some of our folks get real funny when it's time to pay up. They really needed this money, and you gave your last $500 to try to help them out, and they told you that they were going to pay you back on Friday. Friday come, then they're ghosts. They're not responding to the messages. They're not answering the phone. They acting funny. They being standoffish, all because they owe you money. Get them to sign a promise to pay, and that promise to pay will stand in court. Take them to court and get your money back if you have to. So again, contracts work not only just in business but also in um, just your daily life. Whether it's signing an employment contract, whether you are purchasing a home, or agreeing to the terms and conditions of just anything. Contracts govern our interactions and set expectations for all parties involved. So basically, some people may think having them sign a contract is a bad thing, but it's not. It's actually working for both of our goods. It helps to um, work for both of us, meaning that if you are contracting me to provide a said thing, service, or transaction, then this contract actually serves as, my promise to make sure that I am upholding this. And if I don't, you can take me to court or vice versa. So contracts are not bad. Do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions in regards to contracts? If you have business and you need a contract, I also can create contracts that can be catered directly to your business. They can be interchangeable. Um, they can outline whatever transactional transactions that you make within your business. So um, it'll be a basic contract, but then you provide clauses that you need in your contract. So I can create contracts for you if you have a business and don't have contracts and you actually need one. I was blessed enough to have an attorney friend at my job, my current 9 to 5. I have a great rapport with the legal department here at my job. And I have a really, really good friend that works over in our legal department. And she helped me write my contract from beginning to end. She basically was like, what service will you be providing? Okay, if you're providing decor for a client, is this decor for you, for your client to keep, or do you go back and get your stuff? And it was so ironclad, and she had all the legal jargon in it. And that's the thing that you need to make sure, especially when you're in a product or a service-based business. Did you know that there was a difference in a retainer fee versus a deposit? You cannot tell a customer that deposits are non-refundable, that I require non-refundable deposit, because deposits are refundable. You cannot hold anybody's deposit. Now, a retainer fee can be non-refundable, because a retainer fee is basically me retaining your date on my calendar, meaning that I will not take any other clients on this day because you've already retained me to provide a service for you. And if for some reason that customer decides to cancel that day, then they forfeit that retainer fee. They can't get it back, because you know why? You caused me to close my calendar for that day to provide a service for you. You did not keep your end of the bargain. You canceled, and that caused me to lose money because I could have booked someone else for that day. So there is a difference. That's why it's so important to understand the legal jargon in contracts, because it will make a difference. It could make or break you. Because if you say non-refundable deposit, a customer can take you to court and they will win, because a deposit is a deposit. Deposit means I'm giving you a deposit to hold a space to do service, to provide a service for me. And if you do not provide said service, then I can get my deposit back. Excuse me. Whereas a retainer fee, if you choose to go find somebody else that can do it cheaper, you lose their retainer fee. You can't do it. Let's say, for instance, if I have a client that will book a service for me, let's say a baby shower. If they book a baby shower with me for the month of June, I require half down retainer fee. That sets the tone for me to block off that day. And I'm starting to prep, and do everything leading up to the day of that baby shower. So I'm not booking another baby shower on that day, because someone has already retained my services for that day. And then the client may come back and say, you know what, my cousin can do it for me, and she's not going to charge me. That's fine. But she does not get that retainer fee back, because I've already started to prep for her baby shower, but I've also blocked off that time, and I could have scheduled a wedding or something else for that particular day. So they do not get a chance so they basically forfeit that retainer fee, and they do not get it back. Let's say, for instance, if it's a situation to where someone booked me for an anniversary party, and then they pay their retainer fee, and then they come back later and say, hey, we had to change the date. They still do not get the money back. They just have to give us a new date. And if we have that new date available, then we'll do or if they're postponing it, they have up to 6 months to schedule something else, and they can use that retainer fee to go towards something else that they're scheduling, but they do not get money back. So that's why you have to make sure that you have all of these clauses um, clarified in your contract, because it helps to protect you. And that's why, anytime I'm booking a huge event with a client, we go over the contract, and I have them to say if whether or not they agree or not. Even if you are doing something like a text message can be utilized in court and upheld in court as a binding contractual agreement. An email can be utilized and upheld in court as a binding contractual agreement if a customer requests something and you're responding via email saying, hey, I will be providing a service for you on Friday, April 11th. I am to be at your venue at 2:00 p.m. and yada, yada. And I can then say, please respond that everything in this email is correct. And if there is something missing, please add. If the customer responds back and say correct, all things is correct, that's a binding contract because I put some information in an email, I sent it over to them. She responded and said that everything in this email was correct. If for some reason something comes up and she decides that she doesn't want this product or service anymore, we still have a binding contractual agreement between email communication. So email communication, text communication, and written contracts. And I still draw up a copy and send them a hard copy as well when we do meet. So I have it in email form and I have it also in a hard copy, contractual form. So having contracts are very, very important and very critical to your business. Again, it does not only protect you, it also protects the customers. And if you are a business, let's say for instance, I have a huge wedding that I have to do. I do have staff that I do um, hire to help me set up those huge events. And it's on a event by event basis. But I do have contracts for that staff that may come in and provide service for me for that day that I am hiring, meaning I'm paying you this much per hour. I need you for 8 hours on this day, and this is how much we're paying per hour. All of that is in a contract. So they know what they are expected to do. They know that they're getting paid this amount per hour, and they know that I need them for 8 hours for said event. So it just helps with the clear communication. It helps to make sure that there is no misunderstandings. It also helps in for legal matters. If for whatever reason I'm not satisfied or a client or customer is not satisfied, we can always go back and read this contract before I go trying to dispute something. The first thing you should do as a customer or a business is let's go back to this contract. Let's see what we have in this contract. What do we agree upon? And, and that's just like customers. Like I say, they do not read contracts. They do not. They will sign and will not read the terms that are in that contract. So anytime they come back and say, well, I asked for this and you didn't provide this, you gave me this instead. I say, okay, let's take a look at the contract. What's in the contract? Because I operate solely off of what has been contracted. If you say that you're having a wedding for 100 people, and you need 100 fancy chairs, and this is what I put in the contract, this is what you got. They'll say, well, I wanted this chair versus that chair. But everything is in the contract and you have to have it listed. My contract right now is up to 7 pages long, and I add to and take away as needed. But every time something comes up, I add to my contract. I include a clause because it may be one-off situations that don't come up often. And you may not have ever had that happen before. And it could be something that's critical to your business that you say that, you know what, I need to add this in my contract. Just like I was telling you about the whole inclement weather clause. In the beginning, I didn't know that that was such a thing, that I really needed to add that because I was thinking that, hey, it's common sense that you see it's snowing outside. We're not going to come outside in the middle of a snowstorm and set up a picnic. To me, that was common sense, but to everybody is not. So I had to put that clause. Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions? Any questions? We have 3 minutes left. So if you have any questions, um, leave them in the comments. I know a lot of you are working. It's about to be 11. I know a lot of people are working, so you can't leave comments or anything or ask questions. But if you have questions later, you can feel free to leave them. Leave them on my page. Just write me a message or anything, and I'll definitely be more than happy to provide answers. And if you need a contract, message me. You can inbox me over on Instagram. and I'll respond over at Pink Table Topics on Instagram, or you can leave a message on my community wall, or any questions that you may have. I'll be more than happy to answer when it comes to contracts and some of the legal terminology that you need to have, some of the legal jargon that you need to have in your contracts, so that you can just make sure you are operating your business with integrity and just making sure that you are covering yourself. And also, it helps to have you educate your customers and your client as well, because a lot of times customers really don't understand how you run your business, and communication is key. And being able to educate your customers on why you do what you do, why I have a contract, why this clause is in the contract, why I have you to sign contracts, why I provide terms of agreements, and just standard operating procedures. Even with the way you operate your business, you have to set the standard for your business. My business hours are 9 to 5. This is the way that you can communicate with me. You cannot communicate to me via my personal social media or my personal phone number. All business transaction must go this way, that way, and the other. So when you have that information ironclad and setting the standard for how you run your business, then people will start to respect that. You will have some one-offs that'll think that just because we cool, I should be able to just call your personal phone and tell you what I want you to do for me. And even with my friends and family, I send them to my business page. That is where I create my that's where I create my communication. So anything that goes wrong, I can go back to my business page and say, hey, this is where we were communicating, and this is what you said, and this is what I agreed upon. So create an email chain so that you can have all of that information right there. So I hope this was great information for you, and that you can use this information to help you enhance your contracts if you already have some, or to get in the mindset of creating a contract so that you can make sure that you are operating your business so that people can see you as a professional business. I don't care, like I say, I don't care if you run a home-based business. You can still present yourself as a professional home-based business to your customers and the clients that are in your area that you may come in contact with by having professional documents such as contracts. So make sure you get one if you don't have one, because again, keep in mind, it's not just for the customer, it's for you, and vice versa. It helps to create a clear line of communication between yourself and the customers that you will be providing a service or a product to. So again, so thanks, Royal Miss Lady P. Miss Lady One says this was awesome, sis. Thank you. Royal said this is great information. Thank you for this content. Look at my timer going off. We're doing good. Reen says great information. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you used it. To anybody that'll be coming in and joining the replay later, if you have any questions, make sure you leave any questions that you may have. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Royal says, I am a fan of contracts. Me too. Oh my goodness. I live by contracts. I'm like, let me sign a contract. And I kind of be side eyeing people that be saying they don't have contracts. It's like, what do you mean you don't have a contract? Let me sign, because I want to sign something so that you can make sure, so I can hold you accountable for doing what you're saying. I'm not going to just give you money and I don't have a contract, because you could just pull out it on me at the last minute, and then you have my money and I don't have, anything signed. So it protects yourself. So again, thank you to each and every one of you for joining me for another segment of Pink Table Topics, Spilling the Business Tea. I hope I was able to provide you with some insight and some valuable tea on contracts and terms of agreements. If you have some questions that we didn't get a chance to go over, I'll be back and read the comments a little bit later, and I will leave you a response. So all you have to do is leave a comment under this video, and I will leave a response. And join me back here next week, Friday, 10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, for another segment of Spilling the Business Tea. And always remember, it's not about me, it's about us. It's about us coming together as a community and just providing information in regards to business. I want us all to win. I'm a girl's girl. I want us all to win. So any information that I can provide you that can help you on your business journey, that is my goal, and that is what Spilling the Business Tea is all about. So thank you to each of you that have joined me. I enjoyed you. And I hope to see you here again next week, Friday. And you enjoy your Friday. Have a great and blessed Friday. Prayers going up to each and every one of you that you have an amazing day. And until next time, chat with you soon.